Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. I think everybody is logged on. Oh, sorry, Alex. I did that. Sorry. Let me move you back. We jumped in a little early, but glad you're here. And now I can see my screen is lagging. Am I lagging? A little bit? Okay. All right, Alex and Itzel, you guys should be able to turn your cameras on as well. We are recording because some people can't log on live. And so we record it and we link it to the events website. Everything should be rolling. There you are. Hi, Alex. All right, so for those of you, we're gonna give it another couple of minutes because we did hit the start button a little early. Sorry about that. So we'll give it a couple minutes before we get really going here. And I'm gonna start shutting down some of my programs because it looks like my computer is lagging. But by way of housekeeping, we have two ways to engage with us. First, drop your questions in the Q&A if you have questions, and we will take them as we get them. That's generally how we do these sessions. We don't have any formal presentations planned. This is just a way for you to get your questions answered by a bunch of our students. So we'll have them introduce themselves here in a couple of minutes. But if you have questions out of the gate for students, maybe about student life or about their academics or what it means to live on campus or not live on campus, any of those things, feel free to ask them, drop them in the Q&A. And then we may also ask you to drop some stuff into the chat because we want to also hear from you. So why don't we start with that? If you are an admit to UC Davis, hi and welcome. Let us know where you're from. So maybe just in the chat, just drop us a note on where you are logging in from. We'd love to see that. Wow, first up is Paris. That's crazy. I don't even know what time it is in Paris. That's got to be 7 or 8 hours ahead of us, I think. Yeah. It's 1 a.m. Thank you. Well, we're really glad you're here. Awesome. Yay. We have some Bay Area folks. We have some Southern California folks. We have some out of state, Washington. Cool. Lodi. Yes. Central Valley. Excellent. San Francisco. Japan. Woohoo. Awesome. All right. So it is 4:02. Why don't we get started? We'll do some quick introductions. And then we'll start taking your questions. If you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A and we will start addressing them. I do ask if you do have questions, please use the Q&A box. It just helps us to keep track of them so we don't lose them in the chat because we may, use the chat to engage with you in other ways. So if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. And you can also upvote questions that you see that you also have, and that keeps those at the top. So hopefully we will be able to get to as many of them that come through as possible. So, all right, I'm going to introduce myself and then I'll popcorn it around. I'm Mark Von Cannon. You've probably gotten some emails from me. I'm the Director of Student Recruitment and Career Development for the College of Letters and Science. I'm also an alum of the College of Letters and Science. College of Letters and Science. I keep saying myself lagging, sorry, I know. I am class of a long, long time ago in psychology. But I've been on campus for about 20 years. So I've been here a long time. I'm gonna pass it to Khalil and then I'll let him popcorn it to someone else. Before you go, Khalil, introduce yourself. You know the drill. Maybe one thing about UC Davis that you like most.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. My name's Khalil. I'm a third-year political science, cognitive science double major with a technology management minor. And I'm really excited to be here. My favorite thing about Davis, and you're going to hear this a lot probably, is the community. It's a nice college town, and I really like that about Davis because it allows you to really make that transition into college and be in a town with a lot of people who are kind of going through the same thing as you are. So my favorite thing is the community. And I will popcorn onto Angie.
All right, cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Angie. I am a fourth-year computer science major. I am also minoring in technology management. And my favorite thing about UC Davis is, I think, the music scene. You don't really see a lot of colleges with an actual radio station on campus. So that's a really cool thing we have here. So I got to be involved with music community. I'm also an out-of-state student. I'm from Boise, Idaho. So for all of you who aren't from the Bay Area or California, I feel you. Ask me questions. I'll popcorn it to itself.
Hi everyone, I'm Itzal. I'm a fourth-year sociology and communications double major. I think one of my favorite things about Davis is the amount of organizations we have on campus. We have so many orgs that it's so easy to find your community here. I am a writer for the California Aggie, and then I'm also in the Davis PreLaw Society. So you guys, if you have any questions about joining organizations, feel free to ask them. I'm ready. I'll popcorn it over to Alex.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex. I am a fourth year political science major. I'm also a transfer student from Orange Coast College. So hi everyone from Orange County. One of the things that I really enjoy about Davis is just how bike friendly this town is. I've always kind of been a commuter myself. So to come somewhere where I can take the bus or I can ride my bike was really awesome to see. And just like, you can go anywhere around town with your bike. So I find that so amazing. And I'm also one of the co-presidents for my PreLaw organization, like it's also, if you have any questions, I can also answer that too. Oh, and I'll popcorn it to Simran.
Hi everyone, I'm Simran. I'm a second-year political science major with a minor in communications. And I think my favorite thing about Davis would be the people. They're so resourceful and super helpful and willing to answer your questions. So I hope I can do the same for you guys.
All right, thank you everyone. Thanks for being here. Okay, should we get to some questions? We have 54 minutes to get to a lot of questions. They have started rolling in. For those of you who are double majoring, I know that there are a couple of you. How easy is it to double major? And then maybe briefly talk about what that process looks like. Khalil, do you want to start since I think you've had the most experience with?
Sure thing. And I think one of the reasons why Mark said that is because I changed my major frequently. And that's just because I didn't know for sure what I really wanted to do. And so it's a really easy process. And that's what I'm thankful for here at UC Davis, is that there's a lot of support. And if you declare a major your freshman year, you came in through high school and you had one thing in mind, if you want to change it, that's really easy to do. and you have access to a lot of advisors who will help plan out your courses so that you can make that change. And in terms of, how easy is it? It really depends again on your planning. And there's different majors that have different lengths of requirements or different requirement amounts. And so you just have to make sure that if you think you want to double major, talk to a college advisor, specifically the one in the majors that you're interested in, because they'll have a better idea on what courses do you need. There might be some overlap between, the two majors that you're interested in. So talking to a college advisor is the best course of action. But other than that, I do think it's manageable because, you plan out your 4 years and you have a lot of time to complete all those courses, especially within the College of Letters and Science, because the College of Letters and Science has a lot of interdisciplinary majors and also majors that don't have as many requirements as something like engineering. Engineering typically has a lot of course requirements, whereas relatively we have a little fewer. So I think it's pretty doable.
Anyone else want to touch on their double major experience? Do you have anything to add, Itzel? If not, that's okay.
I think Khalil kind of covered it. He went really well into like everything that you have to do. And it's also, I wouldn't say that's necessarily, if one of the questions that was like, how easy is it? Yeah, how easy is it? It's not necessarily hard to double major because you're still going to be taking a workload of like 15 to 17 units, depending on like what you want to do. The only difference is that you're going to be taking classes now that are specifically attaining to both majors. So like for me, I wouldn't be able to take a random religious studies class because I'm double majoring. So I have to focus on both of my majors. And that does take up all of my schedule. But if I was only like taking one major, then I definitely could take a random religious studies course or geology course.
Right. That's good advice. Thank you. Let me also add, if you have questions for any particular student on the panel, you can address them in the Q&A and they can type out the questions too. So feel free to ask directly if you have questions about a particular major you heard or one of their minors or something like that. Feel free to use the Q&A in that way. So question about housing. I think 3 of you lived in the dorms your freshman year, right? Angie, Simran, and Itzel? No, Simran, you did not? Okay. If you did live in housing, do you want to talk about what the setup is like? So what are the rooms like, bathroom situation, and then like finding a roommate? Angie, what was that like for you?
Yeah, sure. And I'm not super sure what the circumstances are going to be like in this upcoming fall quarter, but in a typical non-COVID sense, you would have a period of time before enrollment to find a roommate or to select your preferences. There's a site, I don't remember what it's called, but they'll offer you a website to input the preferences. Some of you may want to live in a certain community. So we have a bunch of different living communities and different residence halls. So we have Tercero, Segundo, and Cuarto. So depending on your needs, if you have any disabilities, anything that requires accommodations, that's a really great place to indicate those preferences of what rooms you'd prefer. I remember, so there are a bunch of different communities you can sign up to live with. Some of them are more gender inclusive. Some of them, if you prefer, living with people of the same gender or sex, I think you can indicate that for whatever reasons you'd like. So it's all very accommodating in terms of sizes. So we do offer singles, doubles, and triples. I think the only thing really preventing you from getting one is cost. Unfortunately, some might be a little more expensive than others, but overall, you should get the one that you want. It's not on like a first come, first serve basis. You can get whichever one you've indicated that you would like. Any other questions? I think bathrooms, most halls have 4-ish floors with maybe 2 or 3 bathrooms per floor. It's been 3 years and my memory is not super sharp. So if anyone would like to add anything that I might have missed, feel free.
It's how you were in Segundo, right?
Yeah, I actually chose a living learning community that was based off of Chicanx and Hispanic students. So that's where I lived. I lived in Casa Cuauhtémoc, and I chose also a gender-based one. So I was in the fourth floor just with other women. And I assigned one of my roommates. So one of my roommates was a girl from the same high school that I went to. And then another girl was like a random girl that just was assigned to us. I see that the question says, is there an advantage trying to find a roommate through social media? I would say yes. I would say yes because you know who you're going to go into it with, and you don't have that nerves of, oh my God, are they going to hate me? Or are they going to be a bad roommate? Because you're always going to have those nerves if you don't know them. So if you find someone through social media, then you could potentially get to know them a little bit first, maybe have like a Zoom coffee date with them, set up boundaries beforehand. I would say also set up boundaries literally as soon as you get to know them. That way, you're not like 2 weeks in and you're like, oh, but I feel bad about setting boundaries now because now we're good friends and I don't want to overstep that. Start it like as soon as you guys meet, especially if you're meeting through social media. But yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, that was perfect. And so just tacking on to that, there is a tool, like some sort of, I think Angie mentioned it. It comes as part of your housing application where you can put in your preferences and for what you're looking at for the matching. And so there is a tool for that. So I just wanted to make sure we addressed Ani's question there about that. So the other part of Ariel's question is about tutoring. So writing assistance or math tutoring, those kinds of things. Has anybody gone to any of those services on campus? Used any of those offices?
I used resources in terms of tutoring my freshman year for physics because I'd never done any physics before and I was in the College of Engineering at the time and I really, really struggled. So luckily, most departments on campus, no matter what major, they have a tutoring program where, fellow students, maybe some graduate students will get paid to help you through your problem. So you can bring your homework or a concept that's a little difficult for you to comprehend and someone can walk you through it. So if any of you are a little nervous about struggling with school, struggling with concepts in certain classes, don't worry, UC Davis provides a plethora of resources and tutors who can help support you along the way. On top of that, I'm pretty sure each major department also has peer advisors. So if you're curious about learning more about, your path in a certain major or in a certain route, you can also speak with them and they can maybe talk to you about, is this class series right for you? Or, is there an easier route you could take that navigates around some struggles you may experience? So physics, tutoring anywhere, definitely take advantage of that if you're struggling, and don't worry about coming across stupid about someone seeing you and being like, oh, it's this person again, because that's what they're there for. They want to help you, and it's okay to struggle a little bit. I certainly did, and I think I'll graduate on time. That's fine. So don't be afraid to ask for help.
Do not be afraid to ask for help. So let's talk a little bit about picking courses. Does anybody want to talk about like the kind of help they've gotten, like maybe when you came through orientation and when you first registered for classes? It was a while ago for you, Itzel, I know. Yeah,
So if you're particularly talking about like when you're registering for fall quarter, I remember coming in and during the time when I was getting my orientation, they would kind of go over what your major is. So people would be kind of categorized and what your major is, and all these students would go together. And so they would kind of go over, okay, what's your major and what kind of classes are you looking to take over your 4 years at UC Davis? And I feel like that process was beneficial for me because it would give me an idea of what kind of classes I would be taking. And so when course registration would come up, you would look through the catalog and you'd see, okay, which classes are available right now and I can take as of right now, so I could start completing units towards my degree.
Anybody else want to talk about their experience?
When I came for orientation, so first of all, it's okay to be nervous. I just want to let you all know it's definitely like a kind of a nervous experience because you're looking at all your costs and you're like, oh, I really want to take this, I want to take that, but there's only like 2 seats left. Everything usually works out. So just make sure that you're constantly in communication with, I don't know how it's going to be with COVID times, but just if you're in the room with your counselor, just make sure you're in constant communication, just making sure that everything's good. If you're a transfer student, just making sure that you have all of your things from assist done ahead of time, and just making sure that you're ready to transfer, because sometimes there's disparities and there's a language class that's missing or something from our GEs that are missing. So just keeping in mind all those things as well. That's all I had to input for.
Perfect. So I'll just tack on to that too. So you will register for classes in the summer. It's a 3-step process for orientation now, 3 steps. You do the Aggie 101, which is like a portal, an online portal program. So once you submit your SIR, right around May 3rd or May 4th, you'll get access to Aggie 101. And you do that on your own time. But then you make an appointment and you meet one-on-one with an advisor for Aggie advising. So that's what Simran was talking about. That's what Alex was talking about when sitting with an advisor and talking about mapping out your first quarter. So you get help with that. You're not on your own for that part. So first quarter, you'll do it in the summer during Aggie orientation. Aggie advising, and then moving forward, then you do it on your own, but there's always assistance for like if you have questions about like what GE should I take, so you can always get help with that from the advising offices. Did anybody else get admitted to any other UCs and want to talk about like the differences, or maybe what you know about some of the differences between the different campuses? We have a question about what makes Davis different. How about just answering that? What makes Davis different? Everybody should have an answer to that one. Go, Alex, go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really passionate about this because I was fortunate enough to get admitted into a lot of the UCs that I applied to. So what stood out to me personally was just the fact that I'm political science, so I guess it has a little bit of a bias, but I think the fact that we're just so close to Sacramento and so close to the Bay Area, but we're also in this like beautiful like and nature and just really like small town makes a difference. For me, location is everything. If that's not something that's big for you, then that's okay. But location means everything to me. Access to internships, you have, no matter what your major is. We've had amazing ambassadors who've had amazing opportunities. Just our group alone. So just imagine the rest of the campus. You can intern for the governor because you're next to the Capitol. You can intern for the Mexican consul because it's literally 15 minutes away. There's just so many opportunities because we're just so close to Sacramento. It's like the perks of being at Sacramento State, but we're a UC. So it's like the best of both worlds, to be honest with you. So I'm really passionate about Davis, and I know I have a bias, but I think that's just what makes us so great, is that we're getting hands-on experience, which is supposedly, what people say is like a Cal State's where like research and, here and there for the hands-on experience. We're both. Davis is both. And I will always agree by that statement. You get the internship. I've had so many experiences since I've transferred over here, and that has helped me be a competitive candidate for after graduation. So I'm super fortunate. I can't thank Davis enough for that. And I'm just ranting on at this point, so I'll let someone else take it over.
Yeah, I'm gonna build on exactly what Alex said, because I'm a tour guide for UC Davis. So I'm also very biased and passionate about UC Davis. And this is a question I get a lot. And I very much believe that UC Davis is a unique UC campus because of our location and our community. UC Davis is a college town, and I didn't really understand, like I knew that it was a smaller city with mainly the college being the main attraction in Davis, but I didn't understand how useful that was, because it is so nice to just live in a city full of college students, whether it's because of like social life or because of academics or because your neighbors are your friends. It's such a great community of people, and it creates a really welcoming environment, in my opinion. And I think that UC Davis is unique also because we have, I mean, I can't speak directly about other schools, but I will say that we don't have a cutthroat, like your spot takes mine environment. We have a collaborative community environment. And I think that's really important. And it's helped me, especially when some of the rough times when, making the transition to college. So I genuinely don't think that you'll find the level of community in other schools, because I think this is a really unique factor of UC Davis. And that's something that I very much stand by, just like Alex. And just to add on to location, because I see some questions in the chat about, is transportation to Sacramento easy, or can you get to Berkeley? You can. We still have that Berkeley shuttle that goes right to UC Berkeley. It goes twice a day. So if you want to get to Bay Area, there's a wait there, along with, our train station that's right here in Davis. If you want to get to Sacramento, you can go there with our county buses, which are free for UC Davis students. You just need to show your ID, so you can easily get to Sacramento. And if you have a car, it's like a 25-minute drive anyway. So you are, while you're not right in the city, you have access to the city. So you get the best of both worlds. You get to have your college town while still being nearby some of these big city and big metropolitan areas.
Thank you. So in our college, all 5 of you are part of the College of Letters and Science. We have what we call mandatory advising, although that sounds punitive. It's not. It is an opportunity for you to come and meet with an advisor at least once a year. So you can meet with your college advisor one year, your major advisor another, depending on your class level and status. Academic advisors are there to help you with making sure you're meeting the requirements of your major, but also other things. Angie, I know you're typing an answer to that computer science question. Thank you for doing that. Do you want to talk about your most recent experience meeting with your advisor before your interviews and how she helped you with that?
Absolutely. So I'm actually answering questions about the workload of computer science, and I actually had a lot going on with my workload earlier this year. It was the beginning of my senior year. I was looking for jobs. I was very, very overwhelmed because it kind of determines my future, So I went to my advisor. This was my major advisor. You will also get an opportunity to speak with your college advisor, but this was my computer science advisor. Her name is Rachel, and I essentially asked, am I going to be okay? I have a lot on my plate. I have an interview tomorrow, and this could determine a lot about my future. And overall, I'm just very anxious. And, she listened to everything I had to say, even though our meeting was quite restricted by time. She went over just to listen to what I was going through and to reassure me that I'm going to kill it, that even if I don't, that she's there, that we have a wonderful UC Davis community here to prepare you. If you do fail, there's always another route, and you have such a supportive community here. And then I got the job anyway. And then I told her, and she was so happy, and it made me happy to know that there was someone rooting for me, someone who, even though it was virtual, I had never met her in person, someone was there on the other side of my screen rooting for me. So the advisors on campus are incredibly supportive. They deserve so much support and appreciation. So if you are coming to UC Davis, definitely take advantage of advising, and definitely appreciate the other people on the other side of the screen or desk or wherever. I hope things will be in person. I think they will be. So hopefully they're on the other side of the desk. So take advantage of advising, and I will finish this question.
Does anybody else have an experience maybe meeting with an academic advisor or a counselor with the Undergraduate Research Center or the Internship Career Center advisor or anything like that, just to talk about all those other kinds of resources?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk a little bit about the pre-law and grad advising. I actually went to them like the moment I got here, but again, I'm a transfer student, so definitely visiting that office your sophomore or junior year is very useful because you want to know what your next plan is, right? So if you're pre-law, which I know I think I saw some people in the chat that were pre-law, or even just considering graduate school, they can be a useful tool because they do resume check, personal statement check, or they offer workshops as well where they can sit down and talk to you about like what's next, what are the next steps you need to take, and how can we get there. So they're really useful in terms of that. It's also really convenient because on your portal you have access to book an appointment to whichever office. That being said, I've also done the academic success counseling that we have here, and it's the best. Honestly, they are really amazing in that office, and they really just help you kind of make sure that, like, for example, I think I saw a question like, how did you transition to the quarter system? I definitely use them as a tool. They kind of helped give me some pointers on like how I can make sure that I'm ahead on my work, on top of my work, to make sure that I have a successful quarter. So that can definitely be a resource to you that's free, going and visiting them if you feel like you're struggling in the quarter system or you're kind of worried about that. They can help guide you and really train you to make sure that you're successful and making sure that you're turning in everything ahead of time and being on top of things without, making sure that you're not losing your mind at the same time. So it's awesome.
Has anyone else met with like an internship career center advisor to get an internship, anything like that, or research, a graduate research center?
I've gone to the Undergraduate Research Center advisor because, UC Davis is a Research One facility. We have a lot of resources and money that goes into research. And so, I wanted to see if that was for me. And I have no experience at all doing research. And I know that a lot of people in high school are kind of in the same boat there. And so all I did was I kind of showed up. They had one of their internship and career fairs, and I walked up to the undergraduate research table and I spoke to advisor, and she was really approachable and friendly, and she helped me make an appointment where I got to meet with her and talk about some of the great programs that they have. And she actually helped me apply for a program that paired you up with a graduate student who's currently doing research in your field so that you can see what that looks like and get some hands-on experience and shadow someone who already is skilled and proficient in research. And it allows you to kind of, if you have no experience, it allows you to get some of that experience. And I think that I probably wouldn't have been, because I was so nervous about it, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it if the advisors weren't so friendly and helpful. And they really understood that, everyone's coming from, different backgrounds or different levels of experience, and they're able to help guide you to the program that is most suitable for you.
Yeah, and I'll just finish that off by saying, I don't know the exact number, but it's something like 50% of students by the time they graduate have done an internship or have conducted research. No, I think that's just internship, and then a similar percentage have done research. So most students have done at least one or the other, either through the Internship Career Center, through the Undergraduate Research Center, or doing research directly with a faculty member by going into office hours and saying, I'm an undergraduate, I'm in your program, I sat in your lecture about such and such, do you have places for undergrads to get involved in your research? What is the community of Davis like? So if you live here, what do you do here when you're not in class? What are some of the things you do on the weekends?
I can answer that one. Okay, I come from a city, so I am from SoCal. I'm from the IE area, and so it's a city, and I hate the city. One thing that I do love about Davis is that it's so green. Like, I come here after every summer I would come and I'd honestly be like astonished by how green everything was, because you just don't get that in SoCal. All you get are palm trees. And so what I love to do is go outside with my friends and we'll have like picnics. We'll go to the farmers market on Saturday, and the farmers market is honestly such a different vibe that you get on the weekends, because there's people selling like snacks, and then there's other people just randomly playing music outside, and they're totally cool with you just like sitting next to them and like listening to them play. It's like a little free concert. It's a lot of fun. We have bowling on campus, which I love to do. I don't think they're open right now, which is really sad because I was hoping to go for my friend's birthday. We weren't able to because they're closed, but hopefully next year they won't be. A lot of it, I want to say, is just grabbing a bunch of friends and then hanging out together. That's probably the best thing that I like to do when I'm in Davis.
What else?
I remember some of my favorite memories at UC Davis was those weekends when things were back in person. I used to do a radio show at KDVS with my friends, and we would go in. It was like 9 p.m. on a Saturday night, and afterwards we would just go to Taco Bell and get food. And like Itzel said, some of the best memories you have in college are with your friends. You're just hanging out. And UC Davis has, well, Davis in general has a bunch of restaurants, a bunch of really cool places to just hang out with friends. And I think some of the best college memories aren't ones that you plan, that you rigorously plan ahead of time. They're the moments where you're just with people you enjoy. They're the moments where you realize, oh my goodness, I'm having a lot of fun with people I didn't know I could have so much fun with. So the great thing about UC Davis is that it's home to a bunch of those locations that I know years from now I might come back and be like, oh, that was the place where me and Cameron did the radio show. Oh, that's the place where we sat and had picnic day and maybe we're intoxicated. Ahaha. Wait, hold on. Am I allowed to say that? It's fine. Anyway, yes, I highly recommend, just any weekend, be with your friends. What makes Davis such a fun place isn't necessarily the place itself, but the people there and the memories you make along the way. Okay, bye.
Real talk. Real talk with Angie. Real talk with Angie. I love it. Okay, let's get back to some of these questions, shall we? Okay. I don't know. Have any of you studied abroad or gotten a chance to do that? I don't think so, huh? No.
I think COVID has, unfortunately for some of us, made that not a reality. But there'll be lots of opportunities when we get back. I know there's even like a program that goes to Antarctica that was like recently developed. So there's a lot of great programs, and hopefully those are programs that you'll get to do when you come to Davis.
Yeah, the study abroad program will be up and running, fully functioning, sending students abroad again, probably in the next calendar year. I mean, we're all sort of hoping, or the next academic year, I should say. So yes, but if you are thinking study abroad, it's good to be thinking about it early, and you can actually, once you get on campus, you can go and talk to an advisor. We talked about the advising, but like no joke, there are advisors everywhere. There are advisors in study abroad, and they are solely there to help students figure out what plans, what options are available for them to meet their academic requirements, all the requirements for getting visas, all those things. Like there are people there to help with that. So if you're thinking study abroad might be in your future, you might want to make an appointment pretty early just to get it on your get it in your 4-year plan. Speaking of plans, meal plans. We have a question about 5-day versus the 7-day meal plan. Does anybody have thoughts on that? Itzel has thoughts
I
on that.
do. I have very strong thoughts on that. Okay, so as I mentioned, like I'm from SoCal, and so my first year I needed to eat, and so I did get a 7-day meal plan. And the 7-day meal plan means you can go in anytime throughout the day, any swipes you want, every single day. And my best friend had a 5-day meal plan. And so on the weekends, she wouldn't go into the DC, and she hated it because she couldn't eat unless like she bought something, especially also because she didn't know how to cook. And so it's not like she was using the small kitchen on the first floor. What I will say though is that you get $200 Aggie cash every single quarter. So what you could potentially do if you don't want to spend on that 7-day meal plan is get the 5-day and then use those $200 solely on those 2 days. So you can go to the Coho, or you can go to the little shop that I think we have like in every single center. And they have like sandwiches, they'll have like small meals like that for you. You can also use your $200. Oh yeah, thanks, Mark. You can also use those $200 for the food trucks that we have come on campus. You can use them literally all throughout campus. You can even use them at the DC to pay for a swipe in. So I think it really just depends on, if you don't want to think about budgeting too much, get the 7-day meal plan. But if you're totally okay with using those $200 throughout those 10 weeks over 2 days, then get the 5-day meal plan.
Anybody else have strong thoughts about the dining plans? Well, should we talk just a minute about the food, though? I mean, meal plans aside, who wants to talk about food? Anybody?
It's pretty good. I do want to add that they give amazing, because my roommate was vegan, so they give amazing vegan options from what she's told me. So I know that they're constantly, every year, they're trying to improve their menu. So I lived in the Cuarto dorm and Cuarto dining hall last year, which is claimed to be the best one. I personally like Segundo and that one. I also lived in Tercero when COVID happened because they transferred us over there, and that one was good as well. I think the dessert is amazing. I'm so sorry. I think it's so underrated. Like their cookies and their ice cream is so good. I know it's like we should be encouraging healthy eating, but it's really good. It's really good. And they spoil you on finals week. So they make sure that they have all the good stuff during finals week. So yeah.
Has anybody been to Latitude yet?
I went right before, like the week before everything happened. So Latitude is it's the newest dining common area, and it's supposed to have international cuisine and a lot of different types of cuisine. And I genuinely loved the food. And what I told, like I brought 2 of my friends with me, and we kind of stayed there for a few hours, and like, we'll just do some work here. And then when we're hungry again, we'll eat again, because might as well, it's good food. So we kind of camped out there for that day. But I actually was very surprised. And that's, I think, something you can say about our dining commons in general, is that it has really good quality for food. And a lot of options and a lot of accommodations for food.
Mute. So we did talk a little bit about, oh, there was another part of that question and I just cleared it. We did talk a little bit about quarter system. Let's talk a little bit now about classes, workload, units, like what that looks like. I mean, we are a quarter system, so does somebody want to maybe briefly talk about that, and then maybe talk about like what a normal quarterly workload looks like, how many classes, how many units to maintain full time. Anybody?
I can go. But you have to have 12 units to remain full time. But my first year, my first quarter, I took 13 units. My second quarter, I believe I took like a regular 15, and then my third quarter, I took 17 units and I died. So I know that there are some students who will take like 20 units. I know some students have taken 25 units, and that's just not a possibility for me. I found that like 15, 16 units is like a good steady rate to be taking. And it's perfect because if you take a steady rate of 15 to 16 units every quarter, as of right now, I'm taking like 12 units. And it's because it's my last quarter. And then in winter quarters, because I didn't like going out because of the rain, I would also take just 13 units for winter quarter. And so it gave me like a lighter load. And and what that means is that like a 12 unit would just be for me 3 classes, because most sociology and communication courses are like 4 to 5 units. But right now I'm only taking 3. Usually I take 4. I think it's very manageable if you have a calendar. I will say that even with just 12 units, I did not write my calendar, and it really did mess me up because now I'm behind just a little bit. And that's just because I didn't have anything written down. And I'm the type of person that's like, I know when deadlines are, but I forget that there are readings to those deadlines. And so I think if you want to keep up with the quarter system, which I love, by the way, I love the quarter system. I know a lot of people hate it, and they hate it because it's so fast, but that's why I love it. If it's fast and you don't like a professor, you get it over with like so quickly, no problem. But definitely get a planner for your 3 to 4 classes. If you want to try to take more than like 4 classes, I would say try it. Some people are capable of doing it, but I also got really sick that quarter. And because I was so behind on classes with 17 units, I got even more sick. And so I would say definitely make sure to keep in mind that your mental health is so important, because if your mental health deteriorates, your grades are going to go down too. So take care of yourself, try to see what you can do. I would say take 15 units. If you feel like you're okay, maybe take 17, but I don't suggest it.
I'd like to add, first of all, Itzal made some really great points about workloads. Do what works for you. On top of that, I feel like not all classes and their unit weights are equal. Sometimes you'll take a 5-unit class that's significantly easier than a 2 or 3-unit class. I've definitely experienced this. So I've had, 17-unit quarters that were a lot easier and more manageable than like a 12-unit quarter I've had. So keep that in mind as well. Itzal made a really great point about how the speed of the quarter system can be a good thing if you don't like a class, but it's also a really good thing if you do enjoy a series, because you get to take more classes in a shorter amount of time. In my first 2 or 3 years at UC Davis, I found myself updating my resume really frequently, because each quarter I would take a new class that taught me something new, and I was able to put that on my resume, slam that into another application, and, an application that I didn't get a job for maybe later would be like, oh wait, you learned this new skill since last time you applied? That's kind of cool. That was really fast. So, it's very fast. You do have a lot of midterms, a lot of projects, a lot of homework that you have to manage, and that is all up to you and your work-life balance. But you'll also find that it's rigorous in a sense that pushes you to grow.
Yeah, agree with all of that. Thank you. I think you said something about the kitchen dorms. Are they I know every building has one. Are they always busy? It was a long time ago for me, but they weren't always busy when I was there.
No, I would also say that they weren't always busy, because mostly everyone has like that swipe card. And also like a lot of students don't know how to cook. But what's nice about, especially if you live in a community, I think what's nice is that people don't know like the rations that they're making, so they always give out food. So if you're in the kitchen, you're most likely going to make friends with other people that also are in the kitchen. and you are often like making food and then sharing your food that you make. But I would say that it's not very packed at all. I think the most packed it ever was that I did see is on weekends, on mornings, because people want pancakes. That's the most packed I've ever seen it, but you should be fine.
Who doesn't want pancakes on the weekends? Now I want pancakes. There was a question I wanted to ask you, Simran, that's in here. Oh, what factors about UC Davis helped you determine that it was the right place for you? Like what made UC Davis the right fit for you?
I think for me, I kind of looked at the resources that Davis was going to provide me. I am a political science major, so we do have like the capital like 20 minutes away from us. And I was like, okay, going into Davis, I have a lot of resources and a lot of opportunities. Even once I graduate Davis, I'd be able to pursue those opportunities as well. So I feel like that was the major factor I looked at. Besides opportunities, I would say the people were very welcoming. I remember going to decision day and everyone was so like excited and like super welcoming, like, yeah, come to Davis, we want you to be part of our community.
Anybody else? What was it that set Davis apart for you? Made you know it was the right place?
Sorry, I'm typing answers to questions, so sometimes my brain is in two places, but for me, a location and the access to opportunities are two big factors for me for Davis. Our location, I think, is a really pretty campus. I know because of the times we're in, a lot of you might not have had the opportunity to visit UC Davis, but even if you go on one of our self-guided tours, I encourage you to check it out because I really do think it's beautiful. It's very open, has a lot of space, and there are a lot of good resources that we're close by to and that you can kind of see the buildings of on campus. And then we also have a lot of great centers outside of Davis. So for example, if you're pre-med, we have our UC Davis Medical Center in Sacramento. We have we have a Bodega Marine Laboratory, I believe. So there are really cool resources. And then of course, you've heard us talk about how we're close to Sacramento or we're close to other opportunities like that. So those were two of my main factors for coming to UC Davis.
Perfect. Oh, I think Angie needs to answer what are the cons about UC Davis that should be considered before committing. We got this question in the last session we did.
I have a great answer for it. First, so here are the reasons why you shouldn't go to UC Davis. And I'm going to be really honest and transparent with you. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to hide anything from you. The first thing you should consider is, do I absolutely despise bikes? Am I scared of bikes? Like, do wheels scare me? Do people riding weird vehicles scare me? Because if so, maybe you shouldn't come to UC Davis. The second one is, maybe you have something against cows, against turkeys, against wildlife, because we have a lot of animals here. Maybe you're just so disgusted with the thought. An alpaca. We have monkeys, although I'm not sure we have access to those. But if the idea of even touching a cow disgusts you, I guess you don't have to. Never mind. That's not a good enough reason not to come to UC Davis. And the third reason is if you look at us and you think, diversity, no, that's not for me. A nice community here to support me, that's not my vibe. I'd rather be somewhere that is super competitive, makes me feel stressed, people who pressure me to be perfect all the time, because that's not what you're going to get here. So if you're not interested in those things, don't come to UC Davis. Someone said bugs. We do have those, but that's okay. We have a really cool museum of entomology. It's entomology, right? The Museum of Learning about Bugs. So if you do like bugs, you should come here. If you don't, that's okay. I also am very scared of them, and I'm still here and I survived.
Thank you, Angie. I knew you'd give like the full, transparent, like honest, no holds barred answer to that question. I hope that helped you, Blossom. Yes, there are specific move-in days. I believe it's, I don't know the dates, but it's the Wednesday and Thursday before classes start. So I think it's the 23rd, 24th. It's a Wednesday and a Thursday of September. So if you're moving on campus, that's when those dates would be. There was another question about, I know remote, and I'm going to get to that, I promise. There's another question I wanted to answer. Oh, will the dorms be open? Yes, the dorms will be open. Right now, this is what I'm hearing in all the sessions I've been in from housing, is that the dorms will be doubles, possibly triples. So most of the dorm rooms available on campus are built sized for 3 people. They are extra big. They're built to hold 3 people. This year, there's only one person in each room. But next year, we will either be doubles or we may possibly go to full capacity. It just depends on the tier that the county, Yolo County, stays in. Right now, I think we're getting into the yellow, which is basically that. Beyond that, it's green. It's like, you know, everything is back to normal. So I think we're getting there. We probably will see most of our dorms being open. There was another question about singles. The thing with singles is there are very few of them. And in order to get a single, most students have to apply for an accommodation. So if you really, really want a single, when you do your application, you might want to specify if you need it for any particular reason. Okay. Let's see. Are there other questions that you're all seeing that you could help answer?
I think the question about adapting to the quarter system would be a good one to answer, because it is a lot different. I know in high school, most students have a semester system, especially if you're in California. And so I do think things move faster. That is something you do have to get used to. But I think the benefit is that you get to cover a lot more subjects and you get to kind of mix and match. So if you, let's say you want to try something, but you don't really want to dedicate a whole semester to it, you have that opportunity. We have a lot of fun short classes like Coffee Lab. There's like a class on zombies. There's a lot of small fun classes like that you can kind of experiment with. And so I think that's the benefit of the quarter system. Again, it's just that you do have to make sure that you're organized with your time. And but as a college student, hopefully that's a skill that's useful that you get to learn here. I don't know if anyone else has thoughts on quarter system.
Anybody? There is a question in there, Angie. Do you want to talk about, there was a question about changing majors, and it said specifically, now I've lost it. It was changing majors from outside of the College of Letters and Science. So do you want to just talk about changing majors and like maybe between colleges? I mean, it doesn't really make, yeah. You want to take that?
Yeah, sure. Like what Mark said, it doesn't really make much of a difference, even if you were changing a major within a college. All that matters is, what department are you going to go into? What prerequisites do you need to meet before making that official change? So if you already have in mind a major you'd like to switch into, all you have to do is like Google UC Davis Department of X. They'll usually have like a major change form with information on what you need to achieve first before officially changing your major. It's not a big deal. It's not too challenging. You can always meet with an advisor in that department before making the switch. And I'm sure, I don't think there's a cap on how many times you can switch as long as you graduate on time. So, I mean, there is no harm in doing it more times, but also your time here is limited. So make sure you use the time wisely and learn a little bit more about different majors you're interested in before quite committing.
Perfect. Yep. Great advice. Alex, there's a question about making friends, building community as a transfer student versus first year. Do you want to talk about how you found your community? And then I want a few of you to also think about how you found your community, how you found your friends, how you built your community. Okay, so Alex, you want to start by letting us know how you did?
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think that, sorry, okay, I think you can all hear me. Sorry, it's glitching out. But personally, like when I got on campus, I know that a few of you asked about like CSI and Aggie life. It's really crucial that you go and look at those club listings and see if there's any sort of community or club that you're interested in. Making sure that you find those clubs. I was lucky enough to actually find the club that I was interested before I even transferred on over. And so that's why I kind of got connected with one of the clubs on campus. But then, as you all know, I'm a transfer student and I'm a co-president of a club, which that's not rare. Like transfer students can take like spaces in these, like when you do transfer, you can be a board member if you want to, you can be an active member. It's all really just about putting yourself out there. You know, I know some of you are probably graduating high school, or maybe you were, as we in community college refer to as a PCP student, parking lot class, parking lot. And you know what, that's okay if maybe that's who you were, but you know, you're starting a new year, you're starting a new academic year, and you can put yourself out there. I believe in you. I hope you believe in yourself and you can do it. So it really just is about confidence and wanting to put yourself out there.
How about one other person talk about what they did to find community, find friends, make friends?
I can go if no one else wants to take this on, because I lived off campus for my first year, and so I wasn't able to live in the residence halls, which is where a lot of freshmen end up finding community on their floors. And so something I did was I kind of tried to show up to as many student events as I could. So joining student clubs, and even if, you know, there's something that you're just partially interested in, what I would personally recommend is showing up, trying it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you don't have to go back. But there are a lot of good opportunities to try things that you never thought you could before. And, you know, I think through that trial and error, you get to find people and community that is the best fit for you. And I think that's what happened with me. And now I'm really happy to say that I have my community. I'm living in a house with all my friends from UC Davis. And so I think that it's totally doable. And you just need to make sure that you're taking advantage of all those opportunities that you're presented, because I know from personal experience, if you stay in your room, unfortunately, you're not going to make those connections. So just, I encourage you to go out there, because it's really hard sometimes. I know a lot of people might be shy, and taking that first step is incredibly difficult, and I cannot undermine that. But the payoff, I think, is really worth it.
Yep. Okay, we're out of time, but really quickly, we have lots of questions about bikes and getting around on campus. So use bike, but Angie has a great, I know, she did a video on it, like what you must have. So how did you get around on campus, and what would be your recommendation or preference for getting a bike?
There are a lot of different kinds. I'm not a big bike or car person. To me, this is all wish-wash, but I highly recommend getting one that you've tried out. It's like a driving test you would before buying a car. You would do the same for a bike. So, you know, go to the bike barn or go to a local bike shop in Davis, try it out. But more importantly, I recommend getting bike locks. So get two, one for both of your tires, because you know it is a bike town, and unfortunately people do try to steal bikes. So I highly recommend, you know, securing that bike. Yes, getting a used bike and a good bike lock. I think you should get two for both of your tires, because people will steal your tires as well. And oh, a helmet and a bike light. Those are requirements for being safe. So do what makes you feel comfortable, what makes you safe, and what gets you to class on time. In terms of the types, I know a lot of people who like hybrid bikes. I don't know the difference between any bike. As long as it gets me somewhere, it's fine. So it's up to your preference. If you don't know how to ride a bike, that's also okay. I didn't know how to until I came, so you will have plenty of learning experiences.
Did anybody use anything other than a bike? I mean, I know I see scooters, skateboards. I think there's no limit. I mean, we've seen all of them. Rollerblades, right? Razor scooters, electric scooters, those wheel in the middle board things. I don't know what it's called. Yeah, but you probably want something to get around because the campus is kind of big. So you probably do want something to get around. You can walk, but be prepared to walk fast. If you have class over on one side and then you have 10 minutes to get to your other class. All right, I'm just gonna really quickly say that we are planning to be in person in the fall. Everything we're hearing from the chancellor is that we will be back to what he considers pre-pandemic. So right now, what we're hearing is classes will be in person, the dorms will be open, our restaurants will be open. With the testing protocols that the city of Davis has, oh, Angie just put in her new car that she got because she got her new job. With the city, the partnership between the city of Davis and the university and our testing protocol really makes it a safe community. So that is the plan, is to go back in person. Will there be a remote option? There will probably very likely be some remote option, yes. Because we know that there are students in other countries who cannot get to the United States. So there will very likely be remote options. None of us know that yet, but you could probably bet that there will be some remote options in the fall. All right, it's now 5:05 and we have to ring off because I have to go to a lacrosse game. You guys are awesome. Thank you for coming. You guys want to say thanks to our panelists. Thanks for being open and honest and transparent and you know, really hitting it out of the park with talking all about the good things about UC Davis. Thank you all for coming. Simran, Itzel, Alex, Angie, Khalil. Thank you guys. You guys are the best. I really appreciate you. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.